Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaye Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Narayanam Gurum Vande Sharanyam Bhaktavandavam Gauramanubhishtam Purnam Radhadasyam Pradayakam Yupandugacharya Varyamburupa Manjari Preshtakam Patita Pavana Karuniyam Yugacharya Narayanam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tuise Namaha Shama Sundara Shikanda Shekara Ismirahasra Murali Manohara Radhikara Sikamam Kripanide Swapriya Charana Kinkarim Kuru Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priyam Vrindai Tulasi Devi Ai Priyai Keshavasya Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavatyai Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasati Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare. So first of all, I begin offering my most humble obeisances to the dust of the lotus feet of Paramaradhatama Sri Guru Pada Padma Nitalila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada Shtotra Satasi Srimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudeva, and to my most worshipful Shikshan Sannyasa Guru Nitalila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada Shtotra Satasi Srimad Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, and to all Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga, to all Tridandi Sannyasis, Brahmacharis, Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, and to all the assembled devotees here today, my most respectful obeisances. So by the causeless mercy of Srila Gurudeva and all Mahabhagavatas Acharyas, we are able to assemble here one more time. Text 9. The Vishnu Rahasya, quoted in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1-112, states, Alinganam varam manye vyalla vyagra valokasam sasanga shalya yuktanam nana deveka sevinam. It is better to live with or embrace a snake, a tiger, or an alligator than to associate with those whose hearts are filled with the varieties of material desires and who worship various demigods. Now the commentary of Srila Gurudeva, Bhajana Rahasya Vritti, for the text 8 and 9 together. These two texts instruct the sadhaka to seek the association of Shri Krishna's devotees who are like-minded and favorable to oneself. The acharyas instruct the sadhaka to accept what is favorable for bhakti and to reject what is unfavorable. One should completely give up bad association. This means one should renounce association with the opposite sex and with those desiring liberation. The sadhaka should exclusively hear and chant the narrations of Sri Radha Krishna Jugala's pastimes. The association of like-minded devotees is beneficial for the performance of this sadhana. The sadhaka should also stay far away from the association of demigod worshippers. The followers of the Sri Sampradaya, who never enter a temple of Shiva nor worship him, are a good example of this. Of course, here we have to explain that the conception of Vaishnavas about Shiva is not that he is only a demigod, but he also has a role of being a demigod. So, but in South India there is a very famous debate or dispute between the Shaivites and the Vaishnavas. So in this way, both are very strict. They don't go in each other's temples. From one perspective, this is good because they are being totally one-pointed to their worshipable deity. But of course, this is not the position of all Vaishnavas. Srila Gurudev, he always teaches about the glories of Lord Shiva. So here Gurudev is only giving the example of how you should be completely one-pointed to your worshipable deity. So, in this regard, the example of Srila Gaura Das Babaji Maharaj is quite suitable. Occasionally, to avoid the approach of materialists, Sri Babaji Maharaj would lock himself in a public lavatory and perform his bhajan there. Because the sadhaka should be very careful to avoid the company of materialist persons who are averse to Krishna, because it will pollute his heart. So, Babaji Maharaj used to say that the bad smell of the public toilet, it is much superior than the smell of the materialistic people. Why? Because many different kinds of material desires arise in the heart of those who have bad association, and then that person becomes degraded. Therefore, sadhakas aspiring for Krishna Bhakti, pure Krishna Bhakti, they should avoid the bad association. Now text number 10. Bhaktirasamrita Sindhu 2.1.103 states that Namabhasa destroys all sins and liberates one from the material existence. The verse says, O reservoir of good qualities, just faithfully perform bhajan of Shri Krishna without duplicity. He is the supreme savior among all saviors, and the most exalted of all those worshipped with poetic hymns. When even a slight appearance of his name, which is like the sun, arises in the cave of one's heart, it destroys the darkness of great sins that are present there. So there are three types of chanting: Namaparad, Namabhas, and Shuddhanam. So Namaparad is when, while chanting, you are still committing many offenses. Namabhas is when you have stopped making offenses and the semblance of the pure Nam is manifesting in your heart. And Shuddhanam means the pure name chanted with Sambandha Gyan, means complete understanding of your spiritual relationship with Radha Krishna. So now the commentary of Srila Gurudeva Bhajana Rahasya Vritti. When the holy name is chanted without any desire other than bhakti, when it is not covered by jnana, karma, etc., and when it is chanted in a favorable mood with a sense of one's relationship with Krishna, it is called the pure name or Shuddhanam. If it is not Shuddhanam, then it is called Namabhas, a semblance of the holy name. When one's chanting of the holy name is covered with ignorance, when it has the defects of the tendency to commit mistakes and the tendency to be illusioned, it is called Namabhasa. Namabhasa also refers to the chanting of the name when one is absorbed in any matter unrelated to Krishna. And when the holy name is chanted impurely with desires for liberation and enjoyment due to the influence of impersonalism, Mayavada, and etc., it is called Namaparad. So the semblance of Shri Krishna's name is so powerful that it is capable of putting an end to the darkness of the greatest sin. Namabhasa enters the ears of the living entity, rises in his cave-like heart, and liberates him. Moreover, if one who chants Namabhas gives up bad association and constantly remains in the association of pure devotees, he will very quickly attain pure bhakti and the topmost goal of life, Krishna Prema. So according to Gurudev's definitions here, you can understand that chanting Namabhasa is not difficult. Because Gurudev is saying here that Namaparad means when you have desire for liberation, or you want Mayavadism, or you want to reach the heavenly planets, but we don't have all these things, right? And if you read the list of Namaparad or Dhammaparad or Sevaparad, this is also not difficult to avoid. So you can easily conclude that chanting Nama Abhasa, it's not so difficult for those who are following properly the Vaishnava etiquette. So in this way, you can have a hope that if you continue chanting with faith, very soon you're going to chant Shuddhanam, very soon. The most difficult part in our spiritual life has gone because we have already left Mayavadism, desire for heavenly planets, mystic powers of yoga and all kinds of things which are opposed to pure bhakti. We already left all these things. So, as Gurudev is saying here, namabhas means when you are chanting, but still thinking about something which is not related to Krishna, you are under illusion or a mistake. So this is okay. This is our condition. But it means that if we continue chanting, then very soon we can go to Shuddhanam. So, Nandanandana Shri Krishna is the ultimate limit of Bhagavata, means the topmost form of Godhead. He is all-powerful and supremely merciful. Even the semblance of his name burns the most terrible sins to ashes and makes the heart pure and pleasant. It is therefore necessary to perform one's bhajan sincerely and faithfully. So you can understand that one symptom of Madhyamadhikari is Ashabandha. Ashabandha means having firm faith, firm hope that Krishna is going to bestow his mercy upon you. So here Srila Gurudeva, he is giving us this hope. He is very clearly explaining to us that we are very close to what we desire. But you have to understand, when I say very close, I'm not saying tomorrow. Okay, you have to understand the length, the full length of the process. Very close means that we have already crossed, so much of this progress. So the process of gradually developing one's Krishna bhajan is described in Shri Shikshastaka. Shri Krishna's pastimes will progressively manifest in the heart of the sadhaka who is following this process. First, one should practice according to the rules of bhajan mentioned in the first verse. Thereafter, by faithfully following the second, third, and fourth verses, one's bhajan will gradually become mature. Once that is achieved, one should perform bhajan according to the sentiments contained in the fifth verse, and one should contemplate one's perfect spiritual body, Siddhadeha, which develops gradually by taking the exclusive shelter of Srimati Radhika's lotus feet. By continuously performing bhajan in this way, all anarthas will be removed, and one will receive the eligibility to attain one's Siddhadeha, spiritual body. As long as anarthas are present, one can never attain one's Siddhadeha. The intelligence of those who try to contemplate their Siddhadeha without sufficient qualification becomes spoiled due to their lack of strength, and their entire bhajan is ruined. This is called Sahajya Bhava, and this is totally opposed to pure bhajan. If there is an honest desire to attain perfection, one should carefully adopt the gradual process of bhajan as mentioned previously and followed by Srila Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, and other great personalities who are expert in bhajan. By performing bhajan in this way and having obtained one Siddhadeha, one easily attains the happiness of Ashtakarya Seva, service in Radha Krishna's eternal pastimes during the 8 periods of the day. Therefore, contemplating the sentiments of Shri Shikshastaka through remembrance and chanting, one will gradually stimulate Ashtakarya Seva. All anarthas will be removed by this process, and one will easily be able to attain Prema Dharma. At that time, the 4 ultimate goals of human life, means Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha, will appear very insignificant. So, by this text, we should understand that we should renew our energy and our enthusiasm and continue our spiritual practice. Suppose someone is running a very long marathon, like Ironman, for example, or Ultraman. It's very, very tough, competitions. Then one person is feeling very tired. Whole muscles are aching. He cannot run anymore. And he does not know how many kilometers is still ahead to finish the running. And he's thinking he will give up because he cannot run anymore. So he's about to give up. He's thinking it's too much. He cannot tolerate anymore. He's not going to find any good result, and he will not reach the end. When he is about to give up, suddenly he sees a little bit far the end of the race. Or as soon as he sees that, he feels completely inspired and renovated, and he feels confident. Yes, I can reach there. It is not that much as I thought. So now I can continue running. Before understanding how much distance he has to the end, he felt he has no more energy to run. But as soon as he understands that there is a little, then again he gets more energy. Because everything depends on your mind. So what Srila Gurudev is doing here is to show to us that the end is very nearby. It's not so far. So if you are thinking that, oh, I have no more energy, I have no more hope, I cannot achieve perfection, I can never chant Shuddhanam, this is very far away, I will give up this process. No, it is not needed. You are very close to just complete this spiritual race. So renew your enthusiasm, renew your energy, and continue chanting, full of hope that you are going to achieve the goal. Now text 11. The first verse of Shri Shikshastak describes the sequence of bhajan. First, the mirror-like heart is cleansed by the chanting of the holy name. Cheto darpanamarjanam bhavamahada vagninirvapanam Shreya Kairavachandrika Vitaranam Vidhavadu Jivanam Anandam Bodhivardhanam Pratipadam Punam Prittashvadanam Sarvatmasanapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Let there be supreme victory for the chanting of the holy name of Shri Krishna, which cleanses the mirror of the heart and completely extinguishes the blazing forest fire of material existence. Shri Krishna Sankirtana diffuses the moon rays of Bhava, which cause the white lotus of good fortune for the living entities to bloom. The holy name is the life and soul of transcendental knowledge, which is herein compared to a wife. It continuously expands the ocean of transcendental bliss, enabling one to taste complete nectar at every step, and thoroughly cleanses and cools everything, both internally and externally, including one's body, heart, Atma, self, and nature. Now the commentary of Srila Gurudev, Bhajana Rahasya Vritti. The glory of Shri Krishna Sankirtan is mentioned first in the teachings of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because Shri Krishna Kirtan is all auspicious, the word Param means supreme, is used in the fourth line of this shloka. This word indicates pure Sankirtan, which is obtained in progressive stages, beginning with Shraddha and followed by Sadhu Sangha and Bhajana Kriya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the ocean of mercy and compassion, himself appeared as a Sadhaka Bhakta. He sang the glories of Shri Krishna Sankirtan, which is Shri Krishna himself, in order to enlighten the living entities with the fundamental truths about Sambandha, relationship with the Supreme Lord, Abhideya, the process of attaining the Supreme Lord, and Prayojan, the goal, attaining direct service to the Supreme Lord. So for the benefit of the living entities, Sri Bhagavan himself appears in the material world in the form of his name, which is transcendental, inconceivable, non-dual truth. Our Tattva Acharya, Srila Jiva Goswami, says that the one absolute truth eternally exists in four features by the influence of his inherent inconceivable potency, Swarup Shakti. These four aspects are, first, the Swarupa, or the original form of God. Second, Tadrupa Vaibhava, his personal splendor. Third, Jiva, the living entity. And fourth, Pradhana, the unmanifest state of material nature. They can be compared to the four aspects of the sun. The effulgence situated in the interior of the sun planet, the sun globe, the atomic particles of light emanating from the sun globe, and the reflected rays of the sun. The Supreme Lord's Para Shakti, his superior potency, also known as Swarup Shakti, is manifest in three forms. Antaranga Shakti, the internal potency, Tatastha Shakti, the marginal potency, and Bahiranga Shakti, the external potency. By the internal potency, the absolute truth in his complete and original feature eternally exists as Sri Bhagavan, devoid of all faults, supremely auspicious, and the basis of all transcendental qualities. Moreover, for the accomplishment of his transcendental pastimes, Tadrupa Vaibhav, The Lord's personal splendor, specifically Vaikuntha and other dhammas, his associates and his forms such as Srinarayan, is eternally established by this same Swarupa Shakti. This same absolute truth, when endowed only with the marginal potency, Tatastha Shakti, exists as his separate expansions, Vivinamsha Swarup, which consist of the innumerable infinitesimal conscious living entities. So try to understand that Jiva is Vibhinamsha Tattva. Okay, therefore Jiva is called part and parcel. Technically, this is called Vibhinamsha Tattva. So although the infinitesimal conscious living entities have no separate existence from Bhagavan, they cannot be said to be Bhagavan, nor they will ever become Bhagavan. Further, Paramatattva Sri Bhagavan, by his external potency, manifests this entire material world, which is his external splendor. So, this material world is a transformation of Maya Shakti, here meaning the unmanifest material elements called pradhana. In this way, it is proved that the living entities, the material world, and Sri Bhagavan's personal splendor that is manifest as Vaikuntha, as his Vaikuntha existence, are inconceivably one with and different from the Supreme Lord's original form. So this is the Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's why so many Mayavadis, they become confused, because somehow we have the same qualities of Krishna, but we don't have the same potency of Krishna. Therefore, we are not Krishna. So, the living entity's eternal identity is understood by the verse Chetodarpana Marjana. In this regard, Jiva Goswami has concluded that the individual living entity is a minute part of the Supreme Absolute Truth, who is endowed with the marginal potency represented by the sum total of all living entities. The Supreme Lord is all-pervading consciousness, Vibhu Chaitanya, and the living entity is infinitesimal consciousness, called Anu Chaitanya. The jivas are innumerable and are either conditioned, Bada, or liberated, Mukta jivas. When the living entities are Vimukha, or indifferent to the Lord, they become conditioned. They become liberated when they are Unmukha, means when they turn towards Krishna, and then the covering of Maya over the pure identity and qualities of the living entity is removed. Just like one's face cannot be seen in a mirror that is covered with dust, the living entity cannot perceive his actual Swarupa in the heart that is covered by the dirt of ignorance. When one begins to practice pure bhakti, which is the essential function of the Ladini Shakti, then one engages in the process of hearing, Shravanam. Then after, Shri Krishna Sankirtana manifests automatically and thoroughly cleanses the dirt of ignorance from the heart. So when the mirror of the heart is cleansed, it is possible to truly have vision of one's own Swarupa. And the living entity's constitutional occupations, means Swadharma, is to serve the Supreme Lord. So this is the process that everyone has to adopt in the beginning of the practice of bhakti. So here is very important to clarify one thing. What is the meaning of chitta? The verse begins Chetto Darpana Marjana, means we have to clean the mirror of the chitta. Chetto means chitta. But what is chitta? Here we translate chitta as heart. But actually chitta is not actually heart. Chitta means the mind of the soul. The soul has two minds, the chitta and the manasa. Chitta is the spiritual mind and manasa is the material mind. Manasa is part of the subtle body, mind, intelligence and false ego, means ahankara, buddhi and manas. But chitta, it is above the subtle body. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he describes the chitta as upalobdhi stanam, the place where you have realization, spiritual realization. So the chitta, it works like a mirror to reflect the identity of the soul as Satchitananda. So once you clean that mirror, means when you clean the chitta, if it's compared to a mirror, it means that the chitta has the capacity to reflect something else. So when you clean that chitta, when you remove the dirt of the chitta, what is that dirt? That dirt means all the subtle and gross bodies identification. So when that mirror is clean, then what will happen? The soul will see itself in the mirror and then can understand who he is. Understand? So even Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras, he also explained the same thing, exactly the same thing. He says, Swarupe tadrishu avastanam, that when the oscillations of the chitta are completely removed, then you can see your own Swarupa. You can contemplate your own Swarupa. So means he's also considering the chitta as a mirror, as a place that you can see, identify yourself as a soul. Also, the basic definition of yoga by Patanjali says that yoga's chitta vritti nirodha means to eliminate, to stop the oscillations of the chitta. He used the word chitta. This is yoga. But we have to understand one thing. We cannot say that this is the definition of yoga. We can say this is the cause of yoga, but yoga is something else. So sometimes it's said that the definition of yoga by Patanjali is such, but actually it's not the complete definition. It's actually what can allow yoga to happen. Then later, Patanjali, he also explains, Samadhi Siddhi Ishvara Pranidhanat, means the perfection of Samadhi. This is devotion to Ishvara, Bhakti Yoga. So same thing in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna explained to Arjuna also the process to achieve yoga. He says, Yoga samatvam uchate. When you have equanimity, then yoga can happen. So what Krishna did with Arjuna during the Bhagavad Gita, he was actually trying to stop the oscillations of Arjuna's chitta, means his bodily conception of life based on gross and subtle body. So when Arjuna, he was equipoised, he was samatvam, he was completely equipoised without oscillations, then Krishna gave him the order to perform yoga. And what is that? Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyajamam namaskuru mame vesyasi satyam te pratijane priyosime. Then you should worship me, you should serve me, you should meditate on me. Then this is yoga, this is bhakti yoga. So this is the process of Chetodarpana Marjana. Okay, how to clean the chitta. This is the process. But Arjuna, he did not achieve this process by chanting the holy names. He achieved that by following Krishna's instructions, because Krishna was there directly with him. But for us to eliminate the oscillations of the chitta, then we have to chant. Not everyone is fortunate as Arjuna to have Krishna beside him, teaching him yoga. This is very rare. So from our side, we have to do our sadhana by alone. Okay, so let's continue here. So now the second line of the verse says, Bhavamaha Davagrinir Vappanam. The purport of the word bhava, mundane existence, is that the living entity has to repeatedly take birth in this material world. So here you should not mistake bhava for bhav. Okay, the two different words, very similar but different. Bhav means the spiritual sentiments, transcendental emotions. But bhava, that means material existence. So bhava maha davagni means the greatest forest fire of material existence. So that cannot be extinguished by any means other than Shri Krishna Sankirtan. So here a question may be raised. Upon attaining knowledge of one's constitutional occupation, does one cease to perform Shri Krishna Sankirtan? Means after you achieve perfection, will you stop chanting Krishna's name or not? No, this never happens. Hari Sankirtan is the eternal activity of the living entity, and it is both the process, sadhana, and also the goal, sadhya. The next line, Shriya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. The living entity is snared by the illusory energy, only desire material enjoyment, and because of this, they inevitably suffer the threefold miseries. In complete opposition to this, the living entity finds his real auspiciousness, Shreya, in always serving Shri Krishna. This Shreya is compared to the white lotus, which opens at night by the influence of the moon. Shri Krishna Sankirtana diffuses its moon rays of bhava and causes the white lotus of auspiciousness for living entities to bloom. Now the next line, Vidyavadu Jivanam. The power of Shri Krishna Sankirtana removes the ignorance of the living entity, and then knowledge of one's relationship with Shri Krishna arises. Shri Krishna Sankirtana is therefore the life of all transcendental knowledge, which has here been compared to a wife, Vadu. Through Sankirtan, the inherent identity of the Jiva manifests, and if by qualification one is fit to taste Madhurya Ras, he receives the pure spiritual form of a gopi. Thus, Shri Krishna's Swarupa Shakti, which is the embodiment of that transcendental knowledge, is compared to a wife or a consort. Why this is being compared to a wife? Because bhakti is a function of Shakti, and Shakti means the consort or the wife. So then, therefore, this knowledge, this jnana, this is also a function of Swarup Shakti. Therefore, this knowledge is being compared to a wife. Next line, Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. So here another doubt may arise. Since the inherent nature of the living entity is infinitesimal, it may be assumed that his constitutional happiness is also infinitesimal. But this is not the fact. Shri Krishna Sankirtana unlimitedly expands the inherent transcendental pleasure of the living entity by virtue of the Ladini Shakti. In other words, when the living entity attains his pure spiritual form, he gains boundless transcendental happiness. So to make it more clear, in the conditioned stage, the happiness of the living entity is very limited. But in the liberated stage, that happiness is unlimited. So we are not going to improve our material happiness. We are going to access our spiritual happiness. That's a completely different thing. For example, we see that many people who follow different religions, they pray to increase their material happiness. But those who follow Vaishnavism, they know that the nature of this material world is always miserable, always suffering. The 14 planetary systems, they are considered to be dukkhalayam, a place of suffering. So Vaishnavas, they don't have any illusion about being happy in the material world. Therefore, we only pray for the transcendental happiness, unlimited spiritual happiness. Now the next line. Pratipadam purnam brikta swadanam. Upon attaining his pure spiritual form and being eternally situated in one of the transcendental loving relationships, means Dasya Sakya Vatsalya or Madhurya, the Jiva relishes the sweetness of the Supreme Lord's form and pastimes in ever new way at every moment. In other words, he relishes the nectar of service to Nandanandana Shri Krishna in his two-armed form, holding a flute and dressed as a cowherd boy. Then the last line, Sarvatma Sanapanam. At this stage, when the Jiva's heart is completely pure and devoid of any selfish motive for personal enjoyment, he naturally enjoys the transcendental bliss of the loving pastimes of the divine couple. In his internally contemplated spiritual form, he serves them, the divine couple, as a maidservant of Srimati Radhika, who is the embodiment of Mahabhav, the very essence of Ladini Shakti. The two words, Sarvatma Snapanam, have been used here to indicate the supreme purity, completely devoid of faults of the desire to merge into Brahma and the desire for selfish sense enjoyment. For example, going to Swarga or anything like that. So Bhajana Rahasya goes from A to Z, slowly taking us from the very basic knowledge to the most advanced knowledge. Vanchakapatra kripa sindhu bhyevacha patitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna.